I am the founder of the Ethnicity Pay Gap campaign. And my journey began in 2018 when I saw an article about the ethnicity pay gap on LinkedIn. And there was a lot of conversation about this. I mean, personally, I was quite shocked by it. And the others were also shocked. And Vanessa was also one of those people who was shocked about it. I was very frustrated and wanted to know what could I do to make a difference, because I just felt that yet again there was negativity around race and the attitudes and behaviours of people, and I just felt it was just so unfair. So I just had literally a light bulb moment where I had decided that I really did need to do something which I felt was significant. So I had created this T-shirt which had emblazoned on it, #EthnicityPayGap. And I shared that on LinkedIn. And to my surprise, people came back to me and they said, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Where can I get one?" So I decided to reproduce the T-shirt, and people started to buy them. And that was the start of my campaigning journey. So I had then started writing articles and sort of making sure that I would talk about it continuously. Thereafter, what I found was more people wanting to find out a bit more information. People were approaching me to do talks. So I did a talk in the Westminster briefing about the ethnicity pay gap. And I noted through looking and doing my research, I found information which further shocked me, surprisingly, which was a Guardian article saying that the UK has a 3.2 billion ethnicity pay gap. You know, and that really took me aback, and I think my passion grew continuously from that point. And I just thought, I need to do something. I want to do something. I want to be the voice. Now, had you known me prior to that, you would have thought there's no way that Dianne would do anything like that. But I was so impassioned that I felt that I needed to do something, and I decided to be that voice and to go out and do something. I then started talking to organisations like the Fawcett Society, Equality Trust, and they decided to support the campaign. So they shared my ideas that things needed to change, and that was really wonderful, because from that point I just felt like a lone wolf. And when other people started to say, yes, you know, would like to help and support you, that really gave me the impetus to move forward and to keep going. And as time went on, I got more connections. Lord Woolley and Baroness McGregor Smith, they said that they were going to support the campaign. I just thought that was absolutely marvellous. And it made me feel that I was doing the right thing. And individuals separately would say to me, I'm really impressed with what you're doing, keep doing it. And I've been carrying on ever since. So where we are, bringing it a bit forward now. So last year, there was a petition for the government to make it mandatory. Over 100,000 people signed it. And we waited and waited to hear what the response would be. About 3 months after that fact, we then got a message saying, oh, it will be debated. However, we don't know when. So again, we're still at what I would class as being zero, because there is no activity around it. So I'm continuously trying to encourage people to have those conversations within organisations, and also talking amongst themselves to really get to understand what this pay gap is about. And I think the ONS's report, which was last year, indicating that there was a 23.8% pay gap in London, should surely make people think that there is action to be taken. And there's only, I believe it's 1/3 of organisations that have reported their ethnicity pay gap. Again, there is a lot of work to be done here. And because of all of this, I then decided that I needed to continue to raise awareness and to get action. And by doing that, I created the Ethnicity Pay Gap Day, which was on the 8th of January this year. Now, I was bowled over, I have to say, in the engagement that happened during that course of the day. I had 3 organisations pledge that they're going to do their ethnicity pay gap, which is great. I had people inquiring about how to support the campaign, which was absolutely fantastic. And I managed to appear on Sky News, which was also fantastic, because it's all about bringing that message. Because what I did find when I spoke to people maybe outside of organisations, so if I spoke to Joe Blogs on the street and I asked them, did you know about the ethnicity pay gap? They said their answer was no. But if I'd asked them about the gender pay gap, they would know about that. So clearly there's a lot of work to be done here to raise awareness, because as far as I'm concerned and people like me are concerned, the ethnicity pay gap is just as important as the gender pay gap. So more work needs to be done around doing something about it, making sure that the government makes it a mandatory requirement. And I think it's almost incumbent on organisations to bring their voice to this campaign and to say, look, it is time now that we really galvanise and get the government moving. And I am, sensitive that we are in a COVID very serious situation, but equally, we're in a situation that needs to be addressed, because the same people that are suffering from the ethnicity pay gap are exactly the same people who are in front line of COVID, who are dying. So there is a correlation. So to me, this is a situation that if we can get the government to push it to be mandatory, could help those individuals. And I think this action needs to happen now. We can't wait another 2 or 3 years. And people like yourselves are in a great place to be able to really get this mobilized and get this moving. I'm quite happy to talk to organisations. As I said, I've spoken at Westminster briefing, talking about the ethnicity pay gap and the ins and outs around it. So, it has to be a collective effort. And as I've said on many occasions to others, I am only one person. And using an African proverb, it takes a village. It takes us all to work together to make something happen. And I think if we work together, we can make this go forward. And bear in mind, we're talking about the women. Black women are affected doubly by this. So I think let's get together and let's make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Dianne. So how can we support you? What could we do within the networks? If you think of the thousands of women that we span, how could we support you? Is there another plan to lobby the government? Is it something where we can open up conversations with our diversity and inclusion? Those are the sorts of things that you're looking for.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I always say to people that they should get the networks involved, because it's so important, particularly that terrible phrase, their BAME networks involved, and get them having the conversations with their organisations, because nobody wants to be told that they're being paid less. So there's going to be some people who are going to be quite annoyed by it, but it's about trying to say, look, I want to make a difference. I recognise this has happened. I want to make a difference. I don't only want to report it, I want to narrow that gap.
Yeah.
That's having that conversation. And I thought, excuse me, sorry about that. I've actually written a letter to the government, which they haven't replied to, no surprise. So, lobby your local MPs, get as much energy behind this.
But we're going to do another letter, right, with a load of other people signing it. So we're on that one.
Definitely.
Just another thing. I mean, so again, getting involved, just if you're connected with Dianne on LinkedIn, sharing some of that stuff. I think if you're doing anything on pay gap, this goes back to my point around intersectionality, which you all know I've banged on for the best part of the last few years. If we're talking about pay gap, we need to think about that intersectionality side, and that goes into the ethnicity pay gap. So I've actually bought copies of Dianne's book, and I've got 10 T-shirts. So for every one of you that connects with Dianne, she's going to send me your details, and I've bought you a T-shirt, and I'm going to send it to you. And we want to kind of see that stuff on LinkedIn. The more we can help Dianne raise this, you know, as I say, it's all very well closing the pay gap for women, but if it's just white women, what are we doing? You know, it's not the right way to go. So Dianne, thank you so much for joining us. You know, you've got my unequivocal support, and hopefully we can get you involved with some other conversations via Sue, and this will open up the door for the conversation. And we'll see some form of ethnicity pay gap reporting. As we all know, you know, they skipped last year for gender reporting. I don't quite know, maybe someone can tell me whether there's plans to do it this year. We will see. It seems like COVID's a very excuse to put everything else on the back burner, and I get that, but women are being hit the hardest by kind of what's going on in the pandemic. So Dianne, pop your details into the group. I'll pop a link in as well, but thank you very, very much for joining us.